Chapter 26 The Present. It's been 2 weeks since we were all in the newspapers and received the Queen's letter, and in lots of ways, things feel just like they did before. Mum doesn't walk me to the bus stop anymore, and strangers have stopped staring at us with funny looks on their faces. And I'm still hoping to win first prize from my photosynthesis plant, even though Ahmed's plant is growing faster than anyone else's again. He's teaching me some words in Kurdish, like grow more and grow up and I love you lots. And I think it's working. But in lots of other ways, things aren't normal at all. Aunt Christina comes around much more often and she buys me presents too. I think she likes us now because we were in the newspapers. I still don't like her. Whenever she comes, I ignore her and make Uncle Lenny play Scrabble with me and Mum like he used to. Mr. and Miss Rashid from the floor below have invited Mum and me for dinner this weekend, which means Mum might have a new best friend. And next week, I'll be going with Tom and Josie and Michael and Ahmet to Buckingham Palace to have tea with the Queen. Sometimes I get so excited thinking about it that I just have to jump up and down just as high as I can until my insides feel calmer. I think they must know that things can never be the same again after you've had tea with an actual queen. Mum asked me what I'd like to take as a present for the queen, and I thought about it for 3 hours. In the end, I decided that since she doesn't really need anything, and I can't afford to buy her real diamonds or a ruby, I would buy her a pomegranate from the man with the royal heart because I think that the next best thing to wearing lots of jewels must be to eat lots of little ones instead. The other thing that's changing is that I turned 10 today. When I woke up extra early this morning, I found the birthday card on the kitchen table. The birthday card is a very old card. It was the last one Dad gave me before he died. And every year, Mom puts it out so that he can be there to greet me when I wake up, just like he used to when he was alive. It doesn't say much inside, just to my pumpkin, happy birthday. Try not to grow up too fast. Love, Dad. I'm glad Mom had to leave for work early because seeing the card always makes me want to sit down and cry. So I did. And then I went to my room and played one of Dad's favorite songs on his old record player. That made me feel better too. Sometimes all you really need is somewhere to cry without anyone ever knowing. I didn't remind anyone it was my birthday because I wasn't having a party and I didn't have anything to take into class with me. Josie brings in a big cake on her birthday, and Michael's mom always hands out goodie bags to everyone. But Mom doesn't have time to bake, and goodie bags are expensive. So that's why it's easier to pretend that I don't have a birthday at all. I met Tom and Josie and Michael by the bus stop as usual. And when they didn't say anything about my birthday, I felt sad and glad at the same time. I was afraid Miss Khan might say something, but she didn't. Uncle Lenny usually sends me something in the mail, so I would probably get home to find a card with some extra allowance or chocolate in it, like I did last year. If I did, that would be nice. At afternoon break, Josie and Tom and Michael and Amit and I talked about what we were going to wear to Buckingham Palace next week. Josie's mom was going to buy her a new dress and a new pair of soccer cleats. Michael was wearing a suit with a bow tie. Tom said that he had a purple suit his uncle had made him wear to a wedding in San Francisco, but that it might not fit anymore. And Ahmet said his foster mom was going to buy him something that weekend, and that he would also take his backpack. You can't take your backpack with you, said Josie. It's old and ripped, and it's got a hole in the front pocket. The queen might not even let it inside the palace. But important, said Ahmet, looking panicked. My dad. Give me for birthday before war. I carry from Syria. So next time I tell him. It is seen by Queen." "Oh," said Josie, looking sorry that she'd said anything. "Then you have to take it," I said. "The Queen will want to see it." "Yeah," said Tom, "and your dad will love it." Ahmet smiled and said, "I know you to understand." The bell for the last period began to ring, but as we all headed back to class, we met Miss Himsey in the hall outside. She was clasping her hands together and her eyes looked red. As soon as she saw us, she ran over and, whispering something into Ahmet's ear, took him by the hand and quickly led him away. "Where's she taking him?" asked Josie, as Ahmet looked over his shoulder with a confused look on his face. None of us could think of an answer, so we made our way into class. After we had all gotten out our spelling books and had spent 10 minutes learning the meaning and spelling of 3 new words, possession, depression, and objection, there was a light knock on the door. We all looked around to see who it was. After a few seconds, Miss Himsey's head popped around the door, and after she gave Miss Khan a thumbs up, disappeared again. Miss Khan smiled and, clapping her hands, said, "All right, everyone, close your books, please. I have a very important announcement to make." We all fell quiet and waited for an explanation about what was going on and where Ahmet was. "Today is a very special day," said Miss Khan, "and we have a few very special guests to help us celebrate." Everyone turned around to see if there was anyone at the door, but there was no one there yet. "Eyes to the front, please," ordered Miss Khan. "Now, before our guests arrive, I want you all to promise me that you'll be on your very best behavior." Everyone shouted, "We promise, Miss Khan," wondering who the guests could be. "Do you think it's the Queen?" whispered Josie. "Maybe it's the Queen's cards again." But they were both wrong, because it was my mom, carrying a cake with candles on it. And behind her was Miss Sanders and Ahmet's foster mom and Miss Himsey and the woman who had been at the interview and who Michael had said was Ahmet's caseworker, and another woman we've never seen before who was walking with her hand on Ahmet's shoulder. I could tell Ahmet was happy because he was smiling and his eyes looked wet and a little red too, just like Miss Himsey's had in the hall. And within a few seconds, the whole class was singing happy birthday to me just as loudly as they could. After Mum helped me blow out the candles, Ahmet and Miss Himsey and the woman who still had her hand on Ahmet's shoulder stood at the front of the class with Miss Khan. "Quiet down, everyone. Please, everyone," called Miss Khan. We'll cut the cake in just a few minutes, but first, I want everyone to say good afternoon to our extra special guest, Miss Duncan. The woman standing beside Ahmet stepped forward as everyone shouted, "Good afternoon, Miss Duncan." She was wearing a bright blue suit and had short gray hair and a green diamond ring. Now, Ms. Duncan has come here today from very far away because she has some important news to share with us all, said Miss Khan. "Over to you, Miss Duncan." Miss Duncan nodded and looked straight at me with a smile before looking around the room. "Good afternoon, everyone. I am from the Home Office, which is a government department that controls who comes in and out of our country." "Like the police?" called out Dean. "No, not like the police." Miss Duncan smiled. She waited for more questions, but no one said anything. Everyone was deathly silent now. I could feel my whole chest beating so hard that it felt like someone was playing drums inside my tummy. Miss Duncan carried on. "Today, I had the pleasure of bringing Ahmet some special news, and he has very kindly said he would like to share it with all of you. Ahmet?" She held out a plain white envelope that had no address on it and offered it to him. But Ahmet didn't take it and whispered something to Miss Himsey instead. Miss Himsey frowned at first, but then, laughing and crying all at once, gestured at me to come up. He would like his best friend to read it to everyone, she explained. For a moment, I couldn't move. Then Josie gave me a kick under the table that made me stand up and slowly walk over to where Amit was standing. Miss Duncan waited until I was standing in front of her, holding out the envelope to me, said, "A very happy birthday, Alexa, from all of us. Thanks to you and to Josie and to Michael and Tom, of course. There have been thousands of people writing in and signing petitions and calling our offices just to ask how they could help Ahmet and lots of other refugee children like him. And because of that, well, here you go." Ahmet nodded and added, "Happy birthday, best friend." I opened my mouth, but I think all my words must have disappeared and my brain stopped working because I couldn't really think any thoughts anymore. Ahmet tapped the envelope in my hand and said, "You read it for me." I tried to take the piece of paper out of the envelope, but there were so many eyes staring at me, and Ahmet's eyes looked so big that my fingers got nervous and started to shake. "Here, darling, let me help," whispered my mom as she jumped up and quickly took out the folded piece of paper that lay inside. Opening it up, she held me close as we read it out loud together. It said, "Status, Family Investigation Summary. Ahmet Sakwal, age 9. Father, Mohammed Sakwal, age 43. Profession, profe- professor of engineering. Country of origin, Syria. Status, located in Calais refugee camp, France. Mother, Samira Sakwal, age 45. Profession, journalist. Country of origin, Syria. Status, located in Medfakirk, Turkey. Maybe medical facilities, Surak, Turkey. Sorry. Sister, Sarah Sakwal, age 3. Status, deceased while crossing. HO outcome, granted permanent asylum in the UK. Reunification of family imminent. I looked up at Mum and then at Ahmet and then back at Mum again. "What's asylum mean?" My mum smiled, but her eyes were watery too. "It means they can come and live here, darling. Ahmet's mum and dad are coming to the UK. They've been found." I looked at Ahmet, who was nodding excitedly. And then I looked up at Josie and Tom and Michael, who were all staring back at me with their mouths open. And then I looked at Miss Khan, who was saying a prayer, and Miss Himsey, who was crying so much that she had grabbed Miss Sanders and was making her go red in the face. And suddenly, Michael jumped up and shouted, "We did it!" And the whole class started cheering and whooping and jumping and clapping all at once. I know that afternoon was one of the best afternoons I will ever have. Not because it was my birthday, but because it was an end to one of the best adventures a brand new 10-year-old could ever have, and the beginning of a whole set of new adventures that I bet even Tintin never had. And it was all thanks to a boy who came and sat at the back of the class and who let me be his friend.